Hello, Year 10, Year 11. This would be the normal time that we would have a mock exam for you, and we're going to do one. It's really important that I get this back from you so that I know what sort of progress you've made during the lockdown, during the COVID isolation, non-teaching stage of your learning, because then I can help you make progress again. So please tackle the mock seriously and make sure you get it to me. A couple of things to explain. Normally I would give you a PDF or a printout of this which you would handwrite, but obviously it's going to be much harder to get back to me. So I've converted it into Word, and that means your answers have to be typed in. Of course you can still print it out, but it's designed for you to be typing into here. So when you type into there, the box will expand so that your answers can become longer. Obviously that's going to mess up the formatting, so that the pages will become longer and longer, but that's okay. So type your answers directly into the box, click into the box and type. Please make sure your name is in at the top of the document as well, and also save your file as Year 10-11 mock music, Year 10-11 mock music. And then put your name at the front of it. So it would be Mr. Seago, Year 10-11 mock music. Right, that's this housekeeping out of the way. Let's go through the questions to make sure you answer them in the best possible way. The extract, when it says the extract, you have to be careful that you don't confuse that with the whole piece. So when it says describe the dynamics at the start of the extract, you need to make sure that you are listening to the piece of music, not describing the beginning of the piece, because they might be different questions. Describe the dynamics could be, identify the dynamics would be just saying it's pianissimo. Describe the dynamics means say a little bit more about it, that it starts pianissimo, but then crescendos. Something like that. Describe has a little more information. Identify, that's clear. Let's just tell us the meter of the extract. Meter is time signature. So highlight or bold the correct box. So just in the paper you draw a circle around it or something like that, but here, because it's online, just make it highlight or make it bold so I can see which is your answer. So this is all question one. It's all about defying gravity. Question 1C. Near the start of the extract, Elphaba sings, and if I'm flying solo, and at least I'm flying free. This is a common question. They want you to listen to both those two passages and say what they've got in common and what is different about them. And that is about melody. Okay. Later on, it's going to be about rhythm. So it's just a question of making sure you're reading the questions correctly. So, and if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. What's the difference in melody? It could be one goes up, one comes down, that's rising and falling. It could be that one is conjunct, one is disjunct. It could be that one is higher. So just think of melody terms when you're looking for similarities and differences. If they are both the same, then you could say they both ascend. I'm not sure, I'm deliberately using random words and I'm not paying attention to which passage we're looking at. If they both ascend, then that would be a similarity. A difference could be that one ends high and the other one ends low. Okay, so you have to be precise. One ends high and the other one ends low. That's not really close enough here. You'd have to say, and if I'm flying solo, the first one ends high, the second one ends low. So be precise about the difference, which one's which. And then we've got the same question again, which is identify one similarity and one difference in rhythm. So rhythm is note values. So it could be that they're both syncopated or they're both dotted rhythms. That would be the similarity. But again, the difference, when we come to the difference, remember, you have to say the first one does this, but the second one doesn't. The first one uses long note values, the second one uses short note values, something like that. Name one instrument that plays the quaver accompaniment in the chorus. So, looks like a simple question. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to listen to the extract, and then you have to be able to identify which bit the chorus is. And then you have to identify within that what is the quaver accompaniment. And then once you've heard that, then you can find out what instrument it is. So there are 3 steps to this very simple question. Find the chorus, listen to it, find the quaver accompaniment, and name the instrument. After the chorus, Schwartz creates dramatic musical contrast. 3 ways he does this. Now, this is nicely set out. In other exam papers, they haven't set it out so nicely. So accompaniment and tempo and dynamics are all separate. In other exam papers, they might say just referring to the accompaniment, tempo, and dynamics, and then not separate them out for you. So you have to remember to look carefully at accompaniment. Accompaniment is the different instruments. How are the different instruments being used that creates musical contrast? So don't just say a fact about the accompaniment. Don't just say, let's say we were looking at the harpsichord part for a different piece, so I'm not going to talk about the actual answer here. Let's say we were looking at the harpsichord part for the Purcell. Then you could say the harpsichord part uses lots of decoration. And how does that help with the dramatic musical contrast? Well, there's the thing. Musical contrast is asking you to spot more than one thing. Because if it was lots of decoration, that's not contrast, because we'd have to say, but at the start, it doesn't use decoration. So all of these have to have some sort of contrast. Tempo. How is the contrast in tempo? Okay. What are the 2 things you're going to refer to? Does it start at one speed? Does it then become this? Okay. So contrast requires you to talk through a change. Dynamics, a change from fortissimo to piano, a change from soft to loud, something like that. And be as precise as possible about where you're talking about. So that is the first question. And you remember you can listen to these as many times as you like and on the attached audio. Second set of questions is on the Beethoven. So when it says here it will be played 3 times, you can sort of ignore that 3 because you can play it as many times as you like. I want you to do well in this. Name the harmonic device. Device is a skill or compositional trick rather, and this one is about harmony. So you should know automatically that's going to be either a pedal or a cycle of fifths. What else could it be? It could possibly be a cadence. So a device is a harmonic tool, that could be something to do with a rapid harmonic pace. So any harmonic tool is at the start of the extract. Now, if you think this is the Beethoven, you really should know what that is without even listening to it. Where is the extract? Well, I think I can guess where the extract is going to be if they're talking about a harmonic device. And if you can hear that and see it in your mind's eye and you can hear it in your head, then you'll know the harmonic device before you even listen to the extract. Describe the melody. Now you can see this is a 3-mark question. That means that you have to put some time into finding 3 things to say about the melody. Not just is it descending or ascending, but something else about it, 2 other things about it to get your 3 marks. After the opening melody, there is a passage where both hand plays repeated quavers. Now, it should be that in your mind's eye and your mind's ear, you can immediately hear the passage they're talking about, the passage where both hands are playing quavers. Repeated quavers is a bit cheeky because it's not repeated notes, it's just both hands play constant quavers. So, what happens during this passage dynamically? And again, 2 marks. You've got to make 2 points. So you've got to find out where that section is, but I'm sure you know it. Describe the rhythm and tempo at the start of the coda. So you've got to identify in the track which bit is the coda. Can you remember that again? And if not, then you need to do more work on structure, and so that these pieces are in your head. Describe the rhythm. That's a 1-mark question. Describe the tempo. That's a 1-mark question. Tempo, 1 mark. Rhythm, 1 mark. 1 thing of each. This movement is in sonata form. State 1 way in which a recapitulation is different from an exposition in sonata form. Now, the important thing here is that it's not talking about the extract anymore. So it's talking about sonata form in general. So It could be the thing that we're looking at is not actually common in the Beethoven. It's not actually in the Beethoven, but it's common in sonata form in general. So what happens in a recapitulation that's different from the opening, and not the introduction, but the opening of the exposition? Recapitulation, exposition. How are they normally different? And it doesn't matter if the Beethoven doesn't do it exactly. Moving on to the Purcell. Listen to the following extract. Of course, it's not following, you just find it on the audio track and play it over and over again. So 3 times is wrong. Identify the structure, multiple choice, highlight or bold the right answer. B. Purcell creates a sense of drama by using word painting to set the word drop. Okay, what does he do to the melody that helps reflect the word drop? What does he do to the rhythm that helps reflect the word drop? Make sure you stick to melody and rhythm for those two. Identify the cadence at the end of the phrase. Well, that means listen to that. What cadence is it? Perfect, imperfect, plagal, or interrupted? Name the melodic interval in the vocal line between music and music. So you want to find 2 words next door to each other that are music. You know where that is. Make sure you're looking at the voice. Melodic interval means we're looking at the melody, not the harmonies. Okay. So between music, and I'm not going to sing it, music in the right notes. I'm not going to give you any help. The 2 words. What's the difference in the interval between the 2 notes? E. Identify 3. That identifies nice and easy, straightforward. Just name them. 3 things in this extract. Make sure you stick to the extract. Remember, we're looking at the Purcell. That are typical. That's what characteristic means. Typical of the Baroque period. So, what is typical of the instrumentation in the Baroque period that is true in the Purcell? What's typical of the harmony that is true in the Purcell? And what's typical of the melody? Same again for the Bach. Again, it won't be played 3 times. Listen to it as many times as you like. Describe the texture at the beginning of the extract, at the start of the extract. So, right at the beginning of the extract, that's nice and easy. What's going on texture? How the instruments work together. Okay. Describe means you can't just give a 1-word answer. Name the instrument that has an extended solo near the start of the extract. Again, listen and wait till it drops down to 1 instrument playing, and then just name that instrument. Describe this solo, referring to rhythm, texture, and tonality. 1 point for each. What's going on with the rhythm in that solo? So the texture is a giveaway because texture can't be a single line instrument. So that's a big clue to the question before. Tonality, that's keys. What's going on with the keys in that extract, and tonality, especially major or minor. Name, that's identify the harmonic device heard at the end of the extract. That's nice and easy. Harmony, we looked at the devices earlier. Which one is it that's being used at the end? This is the last movement, the final movement of the concerto. What about this music is going to be commonly found in last movements in the Baroque period? So what makes a good Baroque last movement? And find 1 feature that supports that. That's a nice easy question. Question 5, Killer Queen. So you know by now it's not 4 times, it's as many times as you like. Listen for Maria Chandon. What's the instrument that's going with it? But describe the accompaniment that's happening. Describe. 2 marks, two separate points for describe. Identify 2 ways in which the backing vocals are different in the chorus. So there's no similarity and difference this time. It's 2 different things. Backing vocals in the chorus compared to the verse. So what happens in the backing vocals? So you've got to mention the verse. The backing vocals in the chorus do this. In the verse, they don't. Okay. The backing vocals in the chorus do this. In the verse, they don't. And this question at C, where we've got X, there it is, Y, and Z, you would say what chord is going to be playing at those points, and there should be a clue in the way we've got things leading up for it. This is a hard question. And you're given B flat 11 because that's where it is to show you're back on track. So what are the chords missing from here? What can you do about that? You can have a look at the notes and try and find out what the most likely combination. We've got an E, D, C, E there. So what chord is that likely to be? And then you'd write them down here. Let's say I thought it was E flat, which it isn't. Then you would type it in there, okay? So I listen, identify the chords, but to be honest, that's more about looking at the notes and trying to spot the pattern and using your memory. So that's a hard question, and I don't like it. Name one studio effect heard only in the chorus. So what bit of treatment to a guitar or voices or anything like that, studio effect, which could be panning, it could be reverb, it could be distortion added on afterwards, it could be EQ. All of those things are studio effects, but which one is only in the chorus? Maybe I haven't mentioned the right one either. Now, this is a piece you've never heard before. There is a score of it. Again, it's not going to be played 5 times. You can play it as many times as you like. And the questions are written as A, and then a question mark, and then later on we get C and D, and that means that B is not actually referring to the score. So listen to it, follow it through as many times as you like, and then answer these questions. What are the chords in bars 9 to 10? 9 to 10, those are the missing chords, and you would need to look at the chords above and try and guess how they're being used there. It's actually easier than you think. Just don't panic about that one. So you would type those above there. So you click here and type your chord there. Use the space bar just to make sure you advance it. Let's say you thought it was a D minor chord, then just use the space bar until you get to E minor, whatever you want to do. Okay, so you type them above the right place. Second question: this song uses elements of Latin American music and West African music. Focusing on Latin American music, what do you hear in this piece that makes it seem like Latin American music? 2 things that go on in Latin American music that you can think you can hear. Now the trick is here to just really listen and describe what you're hearing, because that will be a Latin American feature. West African music, we're looking at drumming techniques and things like that. So if you stay away from any drumming features, then most of what else you hear will be Latin American features. At the end of the verse, there is an instrumental solo. Name the instrument playing the solo, and that's marked on the score. There it is. Just here, what instrument is playing the solo, and also describe one musical feature from this solo. Musical feature. Okay, so we're not looking at lyrics, obviously, because it's an instrumental solo. And that's true of this next question as well. This extract is from a melancholy work song. Okay, melancholy. Okay, state one musical way in which an appropriate mood is achieved. In other words, what is one way in which this piece sounds sad? That's what melancholy means. Now, the musical thing is, don't tell me lyrics, because that's not really musical, that's the words. So I don't want to know that the words are sad, I want to know how the music itself sounds sad. Now, we get to the big essay question. Section B, this is the essay, 12-mark question. The important thing is that you focus in on the actual essay title. This bit just tells you how you should watch the score and what you're going to hear. That's not the actual essay. This thing just tells you it's the piece we're going to study, or this is the piece we've already studied. This one is the piece we haven't studied, and you have to compare them. This tells you how you're going to listen to them, but you can choose, because you've got the audio now as a separate track, so you can choose whether to listen to Star Wars or the Morricone love theme in any order you like. In the exam, you won't have that choice. But here's the essay title. I've put it in bold. Star Wars is a bold, epic space adventure. That means, okay, they are saying that this is the character, bold and epic and space. Okay, and this one is sad, nostalgic, and unrequited love. So they want you to only talk about orchestration, so the choice of instruments and how they're used, and the keys, major and minor, and how they're used, and how these then reflect. So, what about the orchestration helps it be bold and epic? What about the orchestration helps it be sad and nostalgic, or about unrequited love? So the instruments chosen, how do they help these moods get expressed? The keys we're in, what about the key and the choice of key makes it bold and epic and space? And what about the choice of key makes it sad? Now, obviously, tonality is going to be relatively difficult because there's so little to say about it comparatively. Orchestration, there'll be a lot more to say about it. In order to get the proper marks, you have to do all of these things. You have to talk about orchestration for both pieces equally, tonality for both pieces equally, and each point you make has to reflect back to these character descriptions. Otherwise, you won't get the full marks. And right at the bottom of this document are the scores you need. There's Star Wars, reduced to just 2 separate parts written over each other, so you can don't have to follow the full score. So you would refer to this score. So, for example, you would say, if you were talking about the passage at the bottom, you would say in bar 14, because that's bar 14, and then you would describe what's going on in bar 14. Okay, describe what's going on, but say in bar 14 of Star Wars, this is what happens. Okay. Or you might say, for example, in the next piece, the Morricone, you're asked to talk about instrumentation. You can see they haven't told you what instruments are playing at all. But you might want to say, at the start, the instrument that plays this and what mood does this create, okay? Orchestration and tonality. What key are we in? That will help. Good luck. Make sure you complete this. I don't mind how long you take over it. There are no time limits. And also make sure that you get it back to me by the date given so that I can mark it and give you some feedback. Good luck.